A black schoolgirl couldn't stand the bullying and decided to end her life, but before the world turned cruel, there was laughter. Amara's childhood, in the beginning, was nothing short of magic. A small house, worn-out furniture, hand-me-down clothes, but none of that mattered. Because inside those walls was love so loud, so warm, it could drown out anything. Her dad, Marcus, was her hero. Big, broad-shouldered, deep voice that rumbled like thunder, but eyes soft enough to melt ice. He called her my little son. Every night, he'd scoop her up onto his lap, open a book, didn't matter which one, and say, "People will see your skin first, baby. But they better remember your heart last." She didn't fully get it. All she knew was, if Dad said it, it must be true. Her mom, Lillian, was laughter in human form. She smelled like vanilla and cocoa butter and sang old-school R&B in the kitchen while making sweet cornbread. She kissed Amara's cheeks so much the girl would giggle and squirm. They didn't have money, but they had each other. And when Amara would sit on the front porch at sunset, watching fireflies flicker, she thought, "This is all I'll ever need." The day the sky fell. Amara was 5 when the world cracked open. A police officer came to the door. One sentence shattered everything. There was an accident. Her father never came home. She waited on that porch for him every night for weeks. Mom stopped singing. The house turned quiet, the kind of quiet that hurts your ears. And then Tom showed up. The smile that never reached his eyes. He looked like he came from a magazine, pressed shirts, slick hair, polished shoes. At first, he brought flowers. But his smiles? They never made it to his eyes. He married Mom fast. Too fast. Soon after, the house felt colder. Rules started piling up. Don't speak at the table. Don't laugh so loud. Don't run. Don't question. Don't exist too brightly. Amara shrank. She started sitting at the edge of rooms instead of in the center. And Tom's words became sharp little daggers. "You'd be pretty if you weren't so dark. Try not to act, too much like where you come from." Her mom never said a word. She just looked away. Amara learned quickly. No more singing in the kitchen. No more giggles. She was learning the world's hardest lesson. Not everyone who smiles at you wants you to shine. School was supposed to be an escape. But for Amara, it became just another battlefield. The first day, she wore her favorite yellow dress. Her father had called it her sunshine armor. But he wasn't there to protect her now. The security guard, the first blow. She arrived early, clutching her backpack like it was life support. At the front doors stood Mr. Wallace. Everyone called him Wally. Big gut, sunglasses, chewing gum like he hated the world. She smiled nervously and said, "Good morning, sir." He looked her up and down, slow and lazy. "You lost? Or you trying to sell something?" Her smile faltered. I go here." He snorted. "Well, I hope you plan on behaving. We don't need troublemakers." Troublemaker. She hadn't even stepped inside yet. She swallowed hard, kept walking. But his voice followed. "If you end up in detention, don't say I didn't call it." The classroom, no sanctuary. Her homeroom teacher was Mrs. Reynolds. Blonde, pearls, red lipstick that never smudged. She took attendance, pausing at Amara's name. "Ah. You're Amara. The new one." She didn't smile. Didn't welcome her. Just moved on. Later, when Amara raised her hand to answer a question, Mrs. Reynolds cut her off. "Let's give someone else a chance, dear." She didn't do that to anyone else. The lunchroom, the gauntlet. She sat alone with her tray. Eyes burning. Staring down at her food like if she focused hard enough, she'd disappear. That's when Jessica, the queen bee of the 7th grade, walked by. Perfect hair. Perfect teeth. She sneered. Look at that hair. Bet she uses Crisco on it. Her friends laughed. The cafeteria echoed with it. Amara kept her head down. Fought tears. Fought the urge to run. The whispered battles. In the hallways, it was snickers behind lockers. I heard she lives in the projects. Her mom married that white dude for money. Bet she steals. Every step she took felt heavier. The one who watched. But then there was him. Jason. Chubby. Freckles. Quiet. Always in the back row. She'd catch him watching her sometimes. Not laughing. Not mocking. Just watching. She thought it was just another pair of judgmental eyes. Another person wondering why she didn't fit. But she was wrong. So wrong. By the time Amara made it home that day, her stomach was in knots. School had drained every ounce of her energy, but home? Home wasn't a comfort anymore. Tom was waiting. The man who turned home into a prison. He sat on the couch, beer in hand, television blaring some news channel he barely listened to. She tried to sneak past him, but his voice cut the room like a blade. Where you been? She froze. School. He chuckled, low and mean. Sure you were. You people always have excuses. You people. Those words hit harder than any slap. She bit her lip and kept walking. But before she could get to the stairs, he said it. You know, if you smiled less, maybe boys wouldn't think you're easy. She stopped cold. I didn't. Go clean the kitchen. No room for argument. She scrubbed until her fingers hurt. Tears falling into the soapy water. At night, the worst of all. Sometimes, late at night, she'd feel him standing in the hallway. Breathing. Watching. The door would creak open just a little too far. She would pull the blankets up to her chin and pray he didn't step inside. He never crossed that line. But the threat hung there, like a noose. The next day, the breaking point. The next morning, she walked into school and the hits just kept coming. The security guard nodded at her with a sneer. Surprised you showed up. In math class, Mrs. Reynolds asked her to stand and solve a problem. Amara got it right. The class laughed anyway. Jessica muttered. She probably cheated. The teacher didn't correct her. Just moved on. The final blow. In gym class, they made teams. Amara was the last pick. As she walked toward her team, someone tripped her. She hit the floor, knees scraping against the hardwood. Laughter. Hot. Loud. All around her. And then Jason. Still watching. Still silent. She thought, he's laughing inside too. She couldn't take it. The mirror and the blade. She ran. Out of the gym. Down the hallway. Into the girls' bathroom. She stared into the mirror. Eyes swollen. Cheeks blotchy. She whispered to herself. They win. They always win. From her backpack pocket, she pulled out the razor blade she'd stolen from Tom's toolbox. Her hands shook. Tears blurred her vision. She held it up to her wrist. And that's when the door burst open. The bathroom door slammed open so hard the wall shook. Amara spun around, razor blade still trembling between her fingers. It was Jason. Face red, out of breath, panic in his eyes. Don't. His voice cracked. Desperate. She froze. Anger flared in her chest. What are you doing here? Come to watch? Go ahead. Laugh like everyone else. But he didn't move. Didn't laugh. Didn't mock. He took a shaky step forward. I swear to God, Don't do it. Her lip trembled. Why do you care? And then he shouted. Louder than she'd ever heard anyone shout in her life. Because I love you. The blade clattered to the floor. The silence after those words was deafening. Her mouth went dry. What? He was shaking. His voice cracked again, soft this time, like glass breaking. I love you. I've loved you since the first grade when you gave me half your cookie. I watch you because you're the strongest person I've ever seen. But every time they hurt you, it kills me. She sank to the floor, covering her face. He rushed over, falling to his knees beside her, grabbing her hands. Don't let them win, Amara. You're better than them. You're brighter than all of them combined. She sobbed into his shoulder. And for the first time in what felt like forever, someone held her without conditions. No judgment. No cruelty. Just warmth. Just honesty. He whispered. I don't care what color you are. I care that you smile like sunshine, and I miss it. Don't leave the world before you show them all who you are. That bathroom became a new beginning. They sat there on the cold tile floor for what felt like hours. Jason never let go of her hand. And when the tears finally stopped, she whispered. You saved me. He shook his head. No. You're gonna save yourself. But I'm not going anywhere. The next day felt like waking up after a storm. The air was still heavy, but there was sunlight breaking through. Amara didn't go to school that morning. Jason texted her. I told them you're sick. Take your time. But when you're ready, we do this together. She stared at his message for hours before replying. I'm tired of being quiet. Then let's make noise, he texted back. Telling the truth hurts, but he made it safe. That afternoon, Jason came over. He sat in her living room while her mother was at work and Tom was out. He didn't rush her. Didn't push. She told him everything. The looks. The comments. The whispers. And finally, about Tom. She couldn't get the words out at first. But Jason didn't flinch. He just sat closer, took her hand, and said, whatever you need to say, I'll listen. No judgment. No fixing. Just listening. So she told him. About the hallway. About the door opening in the middle of the night. About holding her breath, afraid he'd step inside. Jason's fists clenched. But he didn't interrupt. Just let her say it all. When she finished, she felt empty. Exhausted. And then he whispered. You're the bravest person I know. Planning to take control. Jason leaned forward. We need to tell someone. The school. A counselor. Your mom. Her heart stopped. My mom, she won't believe me. He didn't argue. Just nodded. Then we start with the school. I'll stand right next to you. She wiped her tears. What if they don't care? He looked her dead in the eyes. Then we make them care. Back to school, different this time. The next morning, they walked into school side by side. Whispers followed them. But for the first time, she didn't shrink. In the counselor's office, Amara told her story again. Jason backed her up. The counselor listened. Her face paled. She called the principal. They called in security footage. They started asking questions. And suddenly, the walls that had always pressed down on her started to crack. Amara had never been more scared in her life. Facing bullies at school was one thing. But coming home, confronting the monster who lived in her house, that was terror in its purest form. Jason stood at the edge of her porch. He looked her in the eye and said, If you say the word, I'm coming in with you. She shook her head. This is my fight. He nodded, but his eyes said, If you scream, I'll tear down the door. Mom's denial, the first blow. She walked in. Her mother sat on the couch, flipping through a magazine like life was just fine. Amara's voice shook, but she forced the words out. Mom. I need to tell you something. Lillian looked up, impatient. Can it wait? Tom's on his way home. Amara took a deep breath. It's about Tom. Her mother's face darkened. What about him? Amara's hands trembled. He's been saying things. Doing things. At night. He watches me. Lillian's palm hit the coffee table with a crack. Enough. Do you have any idea what you're accusing him of? Amara's heart broke right there. I'm not accusing him. I'm telling you the truth. Her mother's voice dropped, cold and poisonous. You're lying. Tom walks in and tries to spin it. The door opened. Tom strolled in, whistling like he didn't have evil in his bones. He froze when he saw the scene. What's going on? Lillian turned to him, trembling. Tell me this isn't true. Tom's face twisted into the fakest sadness Amara had ever seen. Baby, you know how dramatic teenagers can be. She's acting out. Lillian nodded, like she wanted to believe him so badly it hurt. Tom turned to Amara, and his eyes flashed with warning. You need help, kid. The moment she snapped. Amara had taken years of abuse. But this gaslighting, this betrayal from her own mother. It broke something deep inside. She stood. Shoulders back. Eyes dry. Voice clear. No. I need freedom. Tom sneered. Watch your mouth. She stared him down. No. You watch your back. Because I told the school. They have footage. They know everything. Tom's face drained of color. Her mother gasped. Footage? Amara's voice shook, but it rang loud and true. I'm done being afraid. Police at the door. Before Tom could say another word. Knock. 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 Jason. With 2 uniformed officers behind him. Amara stepped aside. He's all yours. The police cuffed Tom on the spot. He struggled, cursed, called her names. She didn't flinch. For the first time in her life, she stood tall. Her mother sobbed, not for her daughter. For the man who ruined them both. And Amara? She walked out that door and didn't look back. The days after the arrest felt like waking up in someone else's skin. Everything was quieter, but not peaceful. Amara stayed with Jason's family for a while. His mom hugged her like she belonged there from the start. She cried into soft blankets at night, wondering how it all went so wrong. And why, somehow, she was still standing. Jason never left. He was there. Every day. No questions, no pity, just presence. He sat with her on the porch. Brought her favorite candy. Made dumb jokes when her world felt too heavy. One night, as they sat outside, the stars finally visible in her sky. She whispered. Why do you care so much? Jason looked down, kicking the dirt with his sneaker. Because you've been surviving alone for so long. And I think someone should show you what it's like to live. With help. She bit her lip. I don't know how. He smiled soft. Then we'll figure it out together. Small steps. Therapy appointments. Court dates. Conversations that cracked her wide open and stitched her back together. Every time she doubted herself, Jason was right there. Reminding her. You are more than what they did to you. The moment she looked in the mirror and didn't hate herself. It came quietly one morning. She stood in Jason's hallway mirror, still wearing pajamas 2 sizes too big. She stared. Not at the girl they mocked. Not at the girl they tried to break. She saw someone still standing. And she whispered to herself. Barely audible, but real. You made it. Graduation day. She walked across that stage. Head high. No tremble in her step. In the crowd. Jason, clapping louder than anyone, tears in his eyes. She locked eyes with him. And knew. She was finally free. Years passed. Not every day was easy. There were scars, the kind you couldn't see. The kind that whispered in the back of her mind late at night. But every time those voices came, there was another voice, stronger, steadier. Jason's. You are not broken. You're battle-tested. Love, built slowly. College. Late-night study sessions. Job interviews. Dreams once too big to say out loud. Now written on vision boards taped to their tiny apartment walls. Jason never stopped loving her with quiet consistency. He never pushed. Never rushed. He waited until the day she turned to him on a random Tuesday. Took his face in her hands, and said, I thought you were staring at me all those years because I didn't belong. Turns out, you were staring because you already knew I did. He proposed that night. The wedding. Small. Intimate. No fancy ballrooms, just a garden, fairy lights. And people who knew what they had survived together. When she walked down the aisle, Jason's eyes filled with tears. I can't believe you're mine, he whispered as he took her hand. She smiled. You saved me. You've always been mine. Success together. They built a life. Started a nonprofit to help bullied kids. Opened shelters for girls who felt the same loneliness she once drowned in. Every speech she gave. Every award they received. She started with the same words. I was once a girl who almost didn't make it. Until someone looked at me and said, I love you exactly as you are. Sometimes, that's all it takes. The moment that hit her hardest. One night, after a gala, she and Jason sat on the couch in sweats, eating takeout. He kissed her forehead. And out of nowhere, she whispered. I still remember that bathroom. I still hear your voice screaming. Don't do it. I love you. He pulled her close. And I'll keep screaming it every day of your life. Epilogue. Years later, holding their newborn daughter, Amara looked down at her and whispered. You come from strength. You come from survival. And you'll never, ever fight alone. Jason rested his chin on her shoulder and said softly. She's got your fire. Amara smiled, tears in her eyes. And your heart.